Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir Professor Nageshwar Rao, Pro Vice Chancellors Professor R.P. Das, Professor K.B. Das, and Professor Satyakam. Our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Shiv Khera, our guest moderator for the day, Dr. Amrit Pattajoshi, all the directors of the schools, divisions, cells, units, my dear colleagues, and the friends who have joined from all over the country and the globe to be with us in this session, the virtual talk on inspirational leadership and motivation. It's an honor for me to welcome you all on this occasion, and I would just give a special greetings and gratitude to our director, Professor K. Ravi Shankar, who has given us a free hand to work on this series. And I would like to, on behalf of my colleague, Professor Nayantara Padi, we have been working on this series for about 3 months now. And in this series, this is an extension, this session is an extension of the theme which we have introduced as the virtual forum. And this is second episode in that series. And I would just like to introduce about the podcast series we are having. Now we are having 6 themes in which we have business management lessons and virtual forums as the new areas, and the policy makers forum also has been introduced. So making it all as 6 themes. And these sessions will be recorded and placed on this podcast series. And as of now, in this session, we have around 1,500 registered participants. And apart from that, we are live on the Gyanvani channel, our own channel, the Gyan Darshan. We are live on the Facebook of IGNU. We are live on the YouTube channel of the IGNU podcast, which we have introduced, and where the recordings would also be placed in the visual modes. So this is, the themes range from the future of work, to change, to occupational wellness, to organizational wellness, and to other areas also. So we would not waste much time, as we would like to hear our guest speaker more. So we would request Professor Professor Satyakam sir, our Pro Vice Chancellor, to welcome, to give a welcome address on this occasion. Sir.
कि हमारे बीच प्रखर व्यक्तित्व के धनी,
अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा सर,
अद्भुत वक्ता और सकारात्मक दृष्टिकोण के उद्गाता, लेखक, एडुकेटर, चिंतक, आदरणीय श्रीमान शिव खेड़ा जी को सुनने के लिए हम लोग सब एकत्रित हुए हैं। मैं अपनी ओर से, विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से आपका कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद और स्वागत करता हूं सर। आपने जो पुस्तक लिखी है यू कैन विन, जब मैंने इसको देखा तो मेरे मन में एक विश्व गीत सामने आया, हम होंगे कामयाब। हालांकि हिंदी में जो अनुवाद है जीत आपकी, लेकिन मेरे मन में जो पंक्ति आई कि हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब। और आप आज इंस्पिरेशनल लीडरशिप एंड मोटिवेशन पर व्याख्यान देने वाले हैं। आपकी पुस्तकें मलयालम, तमिल, कन्नड़, पंजाबी, गुजराती और अनेक भाषाओं में प्रकाशित है। लोग 80 लाख से ज्यादा प्रतियां लोगों ने पढ़ी हैं, खरीदी हैं। मैं आपको प्रणाम करता हूं सर। डॉक्टर अमृत पट्टोजोशी का भी मैं स्वागत करता हूं। डॉक्टर साहब आपका, आप मनोचिकित्सक हैं, उड़ीसा जर्नल ऑफ साइकेट्री के आप संपादक हैं, यूनिसेफ और WH से आप जुड़े हुए हैं, और कोरोना काल में आपकी अद्भुत सक्रियता रही। मैं प्रणाम करता हूं अपने कुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी का, जिनकी इंस्पिरेशनल लीडरशिप एंड मोटिवेशन का कि हम लोग कायल हैं और खास तौर पर व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत कुछ उनसे सीखने को मिलता है। मैं अपने समकुलपति बंधु प्रोफेसर आरपी दास और केबी दास, सभी निदेशकों और एचओडीज, रीजनल डायरेक्टर्स के सभी आरडीज का स्वागत करता हूं जो सक्रिय हैं विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में और आज शिव खेड़ा जी के वक्तव्य को सुनने के लिए पूरा देश हमारे माध्यम से सामने उपस्थित है। मैं खास तौर पर धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं, स्वागत भी करना चाहता हूं प्रोफेसर नीति अग्रवाल और नयन तारा पाढ़ी को, जिन्होंने इस माध्यम से एक जीवंत कार्यक्रम शुरू किया है और हम लोगों को बड़े बड़े लेखकों से, मैनेजमेंट के बड़े बड़े उद्गाताओं से, प्रखर नेतृत्व से हमें मिलाया है और इस कोरोना काल में हमें जीवन में सक्रियता, सकारात्मकता और आगे बढ़ने की शक्ति हमें मिली है। तो मैं एक बार फिर आदरणीय शिव खेड़ा जी का स्वागत करता हूं और मैं तो ये मानता हूं कि जो शिव हैं वे भारतीय परंपरा में सबसे बड़े कथावाचक हैं। सबसे पहले कथा उन्हीं ने बनाई थी, उन्हीं की परंपरा में। आदरणीय शिव खेड़ा जी को आज हम सुनेंगे और जरूर हम पहले भी होते थे, आज भी मंत्रमुग्ध होंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
धन्यवाद सर, आपका बहुत बहुत आभार। सर, आपकी जानकारी के लिए हम यहाँ ये बताना चाहेंगे कि हमने अपनी पॉडकास्ट सीरीज में मल्टीलिंगुअल ट्रांसक्रिप्ट का भी ऑप्शन रखा है, जिससे हमारे जितने भी लर्नर्स हैं उनको हिंदी और बाकी रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस में भी उसको पढ़ के समझने का मौका मिले। थैंक यू सो मच सर। Now I would request Professor R.P. Das, our Pro Vice Chancellor, to give the inaugural address. Sir.
Namaskar. Esteemed Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Nageshwar Rao ji, the star attraction of the movement Sri Shiv Khera ji, globally acclaimed leader of the leaders, motivators, trainer and writer and what not, the Pro Vice Chancellors Professor Satyakam ji, Professor K.V. Das ji, Director of Schools and others. I extend you all a very warm welcome to this podcast. I express my sincere gratitude, especially to Shiv Khera ji, for sparing his valuable time for us. In fact, I have been given this difficult task to introduce the theme. I am afraid to do it before this global expert on motivation and leadership. I am too small to do so. I am a student of management for last 4 decades. I have taught motivation and leadership to my students, but now sometimes I feel the theories developed a century back, practiced for centuries, was in a different context, when socio-economic political environment was quite different. For example, Maslow's need hierarchy theory talks about the basic needs, roti, kapda, or makan. It says that if it is fulfilled, the individual will go to upper hierarchy need. But in the present context, when that need will be fulfilled? And when the individual will go to upper hierarchy of needs? Particularly this COVID-19 has exposed to all of us that as a leader, as subordinates, as followers, that where we stand and what we can do. Today, in the present context, the context has radically changed due to socio-economic and political factors. on the one hand and globalization on the other. We need, while on the one hand we need innovation and creativity, on the other, McGregor says that to fit with the requirement, we need Y type of people who should be self-motivated, self-directed, and self-controlled. In the present context, if we look at it, this Y type of person says, जो आपको पसंद है वही काम करेंगे. Then what about innovation? What about creativity? And what about empowerment? I believe in the present context, the need of the hour is we have to find out a leader who should have personal power with his positional power to motivate people, to inspire people to achieve organizational effectiveness. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. We are there to listen, Shiv Khera ji. So I once again extend a very warm welcome to you, sir, to our program. Thank you. Namaskar. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words and the information regarding the motivation theory. Now I would request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor K.B. Das, to address the gathering before we start with the session. Sir.
The problem is, sir, Namaskar everybody here. Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Nageswar Rao Sharji, today's guest, our learned and eminent speaker and acclaimed writer of this country, Shiv Khera ji, Dr. Amit Patjoshi ji, my good friends in the department, in the School of Management and Commerce and Management, the learned professors who have joined here, and dear students, friends here. We are indeed impressed, delighted, and privileged by your presence, your august presence, to address the IGNOU community, teach both the teachers and the students, and those who will be listening to you from across the country, from different places. I remember as a teacher of commerce and economics, when we are invited to speak to the students of management in different business schools, to at least to motivate them, we used to get input from your books. We used to quote you at various places. We must acknowledge that we really follow you. We follow your foundation, Country First Foundation, the mission, very well spelled mission, freedom through education and justice, that you are also acknowledged that you are corruption crusader, your articulation, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. In your tenure, in your career as a motivational speaker, no doubt you have ignited the minds of millions of young people, young minds. You have unlocked the potentials of many young people of this country, the cluster of skills, the attributes that has created really a transactional influence, the X factor that has become the code of currency of success of leadership, especially in the corporate world. It's a fantastic job we have done. We also love your high impact leadership, the tagline, empower the people to accelerate success. And probably IGNOU is a lead player so far, empowering the people to accelerate success through education and justice. And your association today certainly will provide us impetus to go ahead with our mission, because the mission, your mission, your foundation's mission and IGNOU's mission, probably there is a convergence, what I find. And we are also in search of a role model. Now the young people are searching for role models, those who can say that. Of course, the primary thing that we require is a resilience to change. Are we really prepared to change that? We want to listen from you, and the entire IGNOU community will be immensely benefited by your discourse of this leadership, transactional influence, inspirational words about that. You are, of course, an acknowledged person with regard to that. We welcome you, sir. We are really fortunate to listen to you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you
so much, sir, for your inspiring words. Now we won't wait much, and we would invite our guest speaker. And it takes me back around 21 years back, when I was fortunate to listen to him when his book was You Can Win was published, and we were really very enthusiastic, and I started my job. Then I had an opportunity to listen to him live, and it's been an honor to host the show and invite you as our guest speaker, and we are really obliged to have you on this session. So just a brief introduction of Mr. Shiv Khera, who is an author, educator, business consultant, and a much sought after speaker, and he's also an activist and a social worker also. Dasar has mentioned about his foundation, and that foundation is really doing good work for the social causes. He inspires and encourages individuals to realize their true potential. And he has taken his dynamic personal messages to opposite sides of the globe, ranging from US to Singapore. And his 40 years of research and understanding has put millions on the path of growth and fulfillment. Over 8 million copies of his books have been sold globally, including his international bestseller, You Can Win, which has been translated into around 21 languages. As a business consultant, his clients include the big names like Lufthansa, HP, DHL, NSPC, Canon, Nestle, Philips, Mercedes, Johnson & Johnson, to name a few. Tens of thousands have benefited from his dynamic workshops internationally in over 20 countries, and millions have heard him as a keynote speaker. He has appeared on numerous radio and television shows, and Mr. Khera is the brand ambassador of Roundtable Foundation, and he has been honored by the Lions International and Rotary International. And to include the introduction of Dr. Amrit Pattojoshi also, this is indeed a pleasure to have him again on the show, who would be the guest moderator after Khera sir finishes his address. And Dr. Amrit Pattojoshi, you all have listened to him earlier also. He is a professor and chief consultant neuropsychiatrist at High Tech Medical College, MRI Hospital and Healing Touch Clinic in Bhubaneswar. He's a director, council member, IPS, and he's an editor, Odisha Journal of Psychiatry. So I welcome you both, sir, and without wasting much time, we would like to listen to you, sir, starting with Khera, sir. Sir, please.
All right. Can you hear me, Dr. Agarwal?
Sure, sir. We all
right.
can hear you, sir.
Well, I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you very much indeed. And for your kind words, Dr. Agarwal. And Dr. Professor Nageshwar Rao and all the other panelists, Professor Satyakam, Professor R.P. Das, and Professor Das, KB Das, and Professor Amrit Pattojoshi, and of course, the starting was done by Professor Khera. All of you, I'm grateful to each one of you. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks a lot. All right, let me get started with this. You see, the program, by and large, we have titled is As Turns Setbacks into Comebacks. Now, why this title? Because in my own life, I've had 3 major setbacks in my life where I got into a minus. And right now, we're going through a major crisis, which is a big setback. Now, I'm not that educated. My academics are, I'm a BCom third division. I failed my 10th. That's about it. Now, we had coal mines in India, close to 1,000 people working, and the mines got nationalized. And we literally came on the street. Street means street. 1975, I left India, not being that educated. I went to US, initially went to Toronto, and started life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door. For about 1.5 to 2 years, I was washing cars. And totally by accident, I got into selling life insurance, where within a matter of 90 days, I was about to be fired by my manager for non-performance. Well, thereafter, there were some turning points which changed my life completely. And I'm going to share a little bit of those in the interest of time. I'll just move on with a little fast. What were the turning points? And after that, I started hitting $1 million sales, moved on to US, got into 3 businesses. I bought out a company out of California in 1984, started the New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. And that is really what I'm going to share. What were the turning points in my life? Okay, now, this crisis has literally shaken up the whole world. See, overcrowded hospitals, shortage of supplies, orders getting canceled, factories closing, unemployment going up, death rate going up. With this scenario, people are feeling uncertain, nothing is predictable. When does this crisis finish? Nobody knows. And because of that, people are feeling insecure. Now, that insecurity is leading to stress, anxiety, frustration, depression, even anger. This is what is the current scenario. Now, all I can say is stress is both natural and normal. Anybody who says they have no stress belongs into the lunatic asylum. Now, all stress is not bad. An athlete at the Olympics, is he under stress? Answer is yes. If he was not, there's no way he can perform. A great comparison I came across was, I bet we must have seen in the movies at least, at the race course. Have you seen those thoroughbreds? When they are taken into the cabin, what are they doing? They're all jumping like this. They're all jumping. Why? They are under very heavy stress. And they're taken to the cabin, and after that, the moment the bell rings, what do? They shoot. They shoot. That's a thoroughbred. Now, you take a jackass to the race course. This jackass is so relaxed, comfortable, and he's just walking like this. He's not jumping like the thoroughbreds, but then he will remain a jackass for the rest of his life. He will never perform like a thoroughbred. Now, this is important. Folks, stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. I repeat, stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. Now, folks, all of us can handle stress. Everybody can handle stress. What we cannot handle is chronic stress. Are you with me, Doc? We all can handle stress. What we cannot handle is chronic stress. That is the time we start breaking down. Now, folks, I want to mention something. Let us not overrate this crisis and threat. And let us not underrate our strength to fight and win. I repeat, let us not overrate this crisis and threat, and let us not underrate our strength to fight and win. Now, this crisis has created 3 major challenges to us. 1, it has impacted our life, 2, our livelihood, and 3, our lifestyle. Now, life, how is it? None of us know who will be in quarantine next. Are you with me? None of us know who will be in quarantine next. Nobody knows. And 2, what we do, where we go, and who we meet could be a matter of life and death. Now, second part is our livelihood. Livelihood has been shattered everywhere because there have been job cuts, salary cuts, even businesses have closed, governments are going bankrupt because they have not collected any taxes. So that has become a real issue. Now, I would Normally I cover about 15 minutes on it. I'm going to skip it in the interest of time. But livelihood is a major, major issue. But all I want to say is today, you see, till yesterday, the word was globalization, globalization, globalization. And now the word has become localization, localization, localization. Reason is that till now, production was 20,000 miles away from consumption. Now, all of a sudden, a consuming country has realized that a producing country can blackmail me and put me out of business in 1 minute. I was shocked to find out that America depends on China for 97% of the pharma products. I was totally shocked. India depends on China for 81% of the antibiotics. India depends on China for 70% of the electronics. And a country can blackmail you and put you out of business in 1 minute. So now all of a sudden the word has become localization, which is so crucial. Now, why did we take production 20,000 miles away to begin with? Only primarily because of labor costs. But now with artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, you can create a manufacturing facility 100 times bigger with 1/10 of the labor. Now that will have many other impacts on unemployment part, but that is another issue. But that is another real issue. But people talk of work from home. There are many industries you cannot work from home, such as construction industry. How can you work from home? Manufacturing industry. How can you work from home? You can't. So there are only some industries like the IT and a few others where you can possibly do it. Okay, now coming to the lifestyle part. Folks, till now, we were all running in the fast lane. We were all running. Where we were going, we didn't know, but we had no time. We had no time. Now look at this. What a paradox. The amount of time-saving devices we have today, we have never had that many in history, and yet we don't have what? We don't have time. What a joke. And why don't we have time? Because somewhere we messed up our priorities. I'm not here just to give lectures here. I'm guilty myself. I messed up my priorities too. And whenever we mess up our priorities, we forget to distinguish between what's urgent in life and what's important in life. Urgent may or may not be important, and important may or may not be urgent. But the interesting thing is, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. See, health is important, but it's not urgent. Exercising every day is important, but it's not urgent. Now, if I have a crucial meeting tonight and if I cannot exercise, it's not the end of the world. But if I ignore my health long enough, guess what happens? I will end up in the hospital. See, same thing. In life, relationships are important, but they're not urgent. But if we ignore relationship long enough, guess what happens? We start talking through our lawyers. Folks, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. All right. Now, the important thing is that till now we were all running. This lockdown has done one thing, literally forced people to step backwards. And people have started realizing assessing their priorities. You ask people, why do you go to work? I go to work for my family. Why do you work hard? I work hard for my family. Who are the most important people in your life? My family. Who are the most neglected? Also my family. What a joke. The most important people many times become the most neglected too, and that is sad. So now what this crisis has done is evaluate priorities. Now people are looking at, I was on the fast lane running all right, but want to check, was I running in the right direction? And now people have realized in life, direction is much more important than speed. I repeat, direction in life is much more important than speed. That is where people have realized. Until now, you kept hearing, cash is king, but people didn't understand what it meant. Now they've realized that it is better to have money in the bank than having 50 shirts in your closet. It is better to have money in the bank than buying a car worth $100,000. So they have realized that part. Could I request you to kindly switch off your mobiles, please, and let's stay here. And now that is as far as the lifestyle part is concerned. Now, there are only two sources of references where we have similar crises in the past. One was the Spanish flu, which most of you people are familiar with, and I'm not going to go into it, but a major thing was the Great Depression of 1929. Now, that's the time banks failed, stock market crashed, people lost their savings, $100 became $15, and 15 million people became unemployed. Now, 15 million then is equivalent to 60 million today, because the population of the US was only 120 million at that time. And I just checked that close to 50 million people in the US alone are unemployed right now. And 210,000 people are dead. And the second phase hasn't even come as yet. And they're talking second wave coming in October and November. So why I'm saying that is, since the lockdown is over, doesn't mean the crisis is over. The Spanish flu came in two phases, 1918, and it went away, and people thought the danger is over. It wasn't. 6 months later, it came back again, killed 50 million people were dead. So I just want to make it clear. Now, in 1929, the Great Depression, 15 million people became unemployed. Now, folks, what is the silver lining? The silver lining is the following. Experience has shown that whenever unemployment goes up, self-employment always goes up. I repeat, whenever unemployment goes up, self-employment always goes up. And that is the silver lining. Now, during the Great Depression, there were some people who started their business, and today they're household words in the world, especially in the US. Now, they had no money, they had no risk-taking ability, they were not educated, they were not techies, but one thing they had was they were solution-focused people. Folks, if you notice, there are some people who are problem-focused. You know what that means? You give them a solution, they give you a problem. They have a problem for every solution. Henry Ford said, kick them out, kick them out. We don't need such people at all. But these people were solution-focused. I'm going to share only 3 examples with you. One was a man by the name of George Jenkins. In his neighborhood, started an outlet of non-perishable durable goods. Now, these 2 words are very important. Why non-perishable? Because if they perish, it would be a total loss. And 2, durable means if he was not able to sell, at least the family could use it. He started that way. And today, his turnover is $30 billion. His net worth is $6 billion. He has 1,000 outlets in the US, and the store is called Publix Supermarket. 1. Second example was, there were 2 brothers, Gallo brothers in California. They were struggling. So they caught hold of some grapes and made wine out of it, but nobody would buy it. They started selling their wine 50% below market. This is how they started. And today, Gallo wineries accounts for 25% of the wine trade in the US, and they're valued at $10 billion. And the third example was a man by the name of Simplot. He had a little patch of land in Idaho. He started cultivating potatoes. But what he couldn't sell, the family ate. What he couldn't eat started rotting. Now, he could not afford the loss of rotten potatoes, so he started freezing them. And today, he accounts for 33% of the French fries business in the US. His valuation is about $10 to $12 billion. Now, I don't want to leave my listeners with one impression that you and I start businesses and each one of us will become $10 billion people. That is not the message at all. The message is only one thing, that they were all people who were struggling. They had no money, but they were solution focused. We all need to become solution focused. Think about it. How come under the same set of circumstances, some people break records while others break themselves? How come? Identical circumstances, how come some people break records and while others break themselves? How come? Okay, now with that in mind, let me share with you some steps. How do we overcome the crisis? How do we overcome the crisis? Normally I have 9 steps, but in the interest, I'm going to cover maybe 3 or 4 if I have time. But I'll go a little slow. If you want to take this down, please do so. The first step to overcome the crisis is called the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer. About 45 years ago, I attended a program in the US by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. There were 1,000 people, I was one of them. And Dr. Peale came in and he looked at the entire audience and he said, "You people appear so relaxed, comfortable, and cool and calm. It appears nobody has a problem here." Then he asked, "Does anybody have a problem here? Who doesn't have a problem?" So everybody raised their hand. We all have problems. Then he said, "How many people would like to get rid of their problem?" Again, everybody raised their hand. And Dr. Peale said, "While I was coming here, I came across a place where I saw some people all stretched out, comfortably relaxed. They had no problem whatsoever." And he asked, "How many people would like to know where that place is?" Again, everybody raised their hand. And then Dr. Peale said, 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. And there are people lying there all stretched out. They have no problem whatsoever. Then he asked, "How many people would like to get rid of the problem?" Nobody raised their hand. Everybody put their hand in their pocket. And then Dr. Peale said, "Remember, problem is a sign of life. So long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problems, we'd be dead. And when you're running short of problems, that is the time to get on your knees and pray to God, 'Have you stopped trusting me anymore? Send me some problems.'" And folks, that day he gave a prayer which is called the serenity prayer. And in my opinion, it is the crux and gist of life. And in the last 45 years, I have never left my home without my prayer. And I've come across many adversities. This prayer has helped me tide over all that. Now, I'll repeat it twice in case people want to take this down. It goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. I'll say it once in Hindi. परमात्मा मुझे इतना संतुलन दो कि जो मैं बदल नहीं सकता आपकी सौगात समझ के स्वीकार करूं, और अगर बदल सकता हूं तो मुझे इतनी हिम्मत और हौसला दो कि मैं उसे बदल दूं, और इतनी सुबुद्धि दो कि उनमें फर्क बता सकूं, क्या बदल सकता हूं और क्या मैं नहीं बदल सकता. Now, if you analyze and dissect this little prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Now, my question is, can we change everything in this life? Answer is no. Can we control, do we control everything in this world? Answer is no. Can we change, manipulate everything and build to our wherever we want it? Answer is no. There are many, many things beyond us, such as, I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I did not decide where I was going to be born, and neither did you. And if this is my height and color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, sometimes people are born deformed. And sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? Folks, it says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change. And we bring stress into our lives, and we become paralyzed, and we become unproductive. Okay, so what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously. And if I can change, then give me the courage to do it and wisdom to know what I can and what I cannot. Now, when I wrote my new book, which I'm sure somebody might be sending it across to your school here, IGNU, and it is You Can Achieve More, which was launched last year in London and Canada. I took this thought 2 steps forward, and I wrote in that life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. See, how is life full of choices? If I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? If I exercise every day, I've chosen to invite good health, haven't I? If I eat too much every day, I've chosen to be obese, haven't I? If I tell lies, I've chosen to lose my credibility, haven't I? And if I tell the truth, I've chosen to be a credible person, haven't I? See, folks, life is full of choices. Now, important thing is, we are all free to the point of choice, but after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. I repeat, we are all free to the point of choice, but after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. Now, how is life full of compromises? Folks, in life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game. You see, sometimes nature gives us a lemon. The choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? That is our choice. How did this corona crisis come? I don't know, but it's here. Now, important thing is that many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, people who are successful, don't they make mistakes in life? And people who fail, don't they do positive things in life? And my answer is, people who are successful, they do make mistakes, remember, but making a mistake once in a while does not make anybody a failure. And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success either. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. Folks, what is success? Series of positive choices in life is called success, and series of negative choices in life is called failure, and that's it. Okay, now that is step 1. Now step 2 says, turn and convert wasted time to productive time. How do you do it? In US, there was a survey conducted before the crisis that average American watches TV 3 to 4 hours per day. 4 hours TV per day. Right now, there are people watching 8-10 hours of TV per day. And a man calculated if you're watching 3 to 4 hours of TV per day, if your annual income is $100,000, your hourly rate is $50 an hour, and you watch 4 hours of TV per day, you know what that TV is costing you? $50 multiplied by 4 per day, $200 per day, multiplied 365, that is $75,000 per year. That is more than your EMI on a $1 million home. Folks, don't get me wrong. We all like to watch TV once in a while. It relaxes us. But watching 3 to 4 hours of TV per day, what are we doing? Wasting time. Now, in my new book, You Can Achieve More, I have mentioned a survey conducted which said 85% of millionaires and billionaires all over the world are first generation. Dr. Rao, 85% of millionaires and billionaires all over the world are first generation. Only 15% coming from inheritance. And they were asked, how did you achieve so much financial success in such a short time? And they said, we read books. How many books? 50 books a year. 50 books means one book a week. One book a week. And what kind of books? They said, we only read self-help books. We don't read fiction. Why? Fiction is fiction, will remain fiction. We have no time to waste. Why? Because one good idea from a self-help book is worth $1 million. Imagine first generation multimillionaires and billionaires read one book a week. Warren Buffett reads 6 to 8 hours per day. Bill Gates is an avid reader. Now, what does this tell us? It tells us one thing, that there is a big connection between learning and earning and learning and earning and learning and earning and learning and earning. You learn and you earn. But you know, there are people, they say, I have no time, I have no money. Hey, they'd be probably unemployed, but they still don't have time. And they say, well, I don't have the money. When I have money, I'll buy the books. Do you know something? You can get any book free in a library anytime, but they will never do it. They'll only make excuses in life. That's all. And I've learned one thing, that a serious reader will never borrow or lend books. Never, never, never. See, many times people come and talk to me and they say, Mr. Khera, I've got a great book. I can lend it to you. I said, don't. I said, give it to me, sell it to me, gift it to me, don't lend it to me. Why? Because I won't give it back to you. Why? Because when I read a good book, I always underline and make notes on the side. Why? Because I learned one thing. Reading a good book once is not good enough. Why? Because when you read a good book the second time, you don't find anything new in the book, but you find something new in yourself. When you read a good book the third time, you find again something new in yourself, and the fourth time. But many times people say, well, I read your book once. I said, you wasted your time. That's entertainment. Folks, reading a good book once is not good enough. There are people, I read books 5-6 times, 5-6 times a book. And Arrow Electronics, $26 billion company, is my client. Their managing director went through our program about 15 years ago. And he said, Mr. Khera, I've read your book 10 times. 10 times every year I religiously read your book. And he says, last quarter, in last 90 days, when the world was hurting, everything was closed, he said, we had the greatest year in our life, and we have celebrated $2 billion in sales. $2 billion. Imagine, there are people closing and there are people who are positive. They're hitting new records out there. Imagine. But that's about it. But they are willing to do something for themselves. Okay. Now, next step. Folks, build positive relationships in life. What does that mean? Folks, remember one thing. Our biggest asset in life is not our bank balance. Our biggest asset in life is our relationship balance. Folks, go check out people who have good relationships. What they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. Are you with me? I repeat, English language. People with good relationship, what they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. Now, there are some people who join organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, Lions, Rotaries, only to build what? Contacts. Remember, there's a big difference between building contacts versus building relationships. जानते हो साहब ये कॉन्टैक्ट क्यों बनाते हैं? Why are they making contacts? अरे भाई काम का आदमी है, कभी जरूरत पड़ जाएगी. अरे बना के रखो, someday he could be useful. He's a lawyer, he's a doctor, he's a mafia, he's a politician, he's a cop, or he's a moneyed guy. Someday he was useful. Usefulness goes, relationship goes. सब ऐसे स्वार्थी लोगों के साथ जिंदगी में you can never ever build relationship. You know why? They're only takers in life. They are parasites. They're looking to get something out of you, squeeze out of you. They're rascals. You can never build relationship with people like that. They're only takers. सब रिश्ते जिंदगी में ऐसे कभी नहीं बनते. And In fact, most important thing is in life, we need to build relationships, not contacts, not only contacts. Contacts don't do it. Keep in mind one thing, helping each other is a duty of a friend. If I have a friend of 20 years and he has a problem today, who is he going to go to? Most natural person is the friend of 20 years. And is it my duty to help? Answer is yes. If I help him, am I doing a favor? No. If I don't help him, am I behaving like a friend? Answer is no. But remember one thing, helping each other is never the purpose of friendship. If it is a purpose, purpose finishes, friendship finishes too. Helping each other is a duty of a friend. I repeat, helping each other is a duty of a friend, never the purpose of friendship. We have an office in Singapore. One day I came in for dinner and somebody met me in the lobby and he said, "You came from dinner?" I said, "Yes." And his first thing was, "I hope you met some people who could be useful to you." I felt like giving him a piece of my mind. You know, he can only think of, "I hope you met some people who could be useful to you," means what you can extract out of them. He doesn't understand that meeting good people is good enough in life. Are you with me? Meeting good people is good enough in life. Keep in mind one more thing, and that is, helping each other is a duty of a friend, never purpose of friendship. It is always incidental to friendship, never the purpose of friendship. Now, all these things that you and I are sharing, there is no school and college teaching all this stuff in any school and college. Folks, I've been doing leadership program for the past 35 years. And when we do corporate training, we tell them, Dr. Rao, we tell them that what we are doing in your corporation today is repair work, repairing. Now, if you prepare them, you won't have to repair them. Where do you prepare them? You prepare them in schools and colleges. And sadly, they're not. The Dean of James Cook University from Australia attended our program. And they partnered with us and they want me to do an entire program for them at James Cook University in Singapore. And we created a program called Prepare, Don't Repair. Prepare them, don't repair them. And that is the program that we created for James Cook. Now, so build relationship. And next is, folks, become a proactive person. Become a proactive person. What does that mean? Dr. Rao, I might take another 10 extra minutes. Do I have your permission, sir? Would that be okay? Okay. Now, become a proactive person. Now, what does that mean? Proactive means when we do our 3-4 day leadership programs, we ask people, are you a good person? So once in a while, a person says, yes, I'm good. And you ask them, what makes you good? All of a sudden they say, well, I don't do bad, so I'm good. I don't steal, I don't cheat, I don't tell lies, so I am good. And my answer to them is, sir, I disagree with your answer. Now, folks, if I don't do bad does not make a person good. If I don't steal, it only means I'm not a thief, but that does not make me good. And if I don't tell lies, it only means I'm not a liar, but that does not make me good. Go ask a medical doctor. Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Yes, no. Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Similarly, not doing bad does not make a person good. A person becomes good only when they proactively do good. That is the time they be good. Now, having done leadership programs for the past 35 years, working with Lufthansa, Johnson & Johnson for them, I've learned one thing, that a good leader is never neutral. A good leader always takes a stand for something and it takes a stand against something. If you're neutral, you're a politician. I repeat, a good leader is never neutral. They always take a stand for something, a stand against something, they're not neutral. If you're neutral, you're a politician. Now, why am I saying this? Because compassion is a good word. Very important. But I have no compassion for enemies of humanity. I have no compassion. In life, we need to accept responsibility. Now, why am I sharing this? Remember, faith gives strength, but blind faith leading to superstition weakens people. साहब, विश्वास ताकत देता है, अंधविश्वास इंसान को कमजोर बनाता है. I think I have gone a little over time, but I would like to hand over the floor back to you, and I wish everybody good health. God bless you. And someday I would like to meet up with the Vice Chancellor and the Pro Vice Chancellor, and God willing, we'll do that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an inspiring and motivating speech, and whatever points you gave for coping with the crisis that are really wonderful. Now I would like to invite Dr. Amrit Pattajoshi, our chief moderator, to raise certain questions which we got from the participants as well. And that would last, sir, if you're okay, that would last for somewhere around 15 minutes. Is it okay with you? Or 10 minutes?
Let's keep it.
Some questions. Can we take some questions with the chief moderator? 2 or 3 questions.
Let's see if we can go.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir. I'll hand over the floor to Dr. Amrit. Dr. Amrit, can you just please start?
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Niti. Thank you, Dr. Shiv, for such a Mr. Shiv Khera, for the inspirational talk. Reading books. You know, it's all about social media. So in today's world, social media has become a very popular platform for everyone. You know, be it from imparting gyan to taking gyan, sir. So basically, is it a very good platform to raise your voice? Yet there is, you know, even if I want to speak something, you know, there is a certain theme that is picked up by one and followed by many. Would you please call it conformity, or is it becoming a new age leadership skill? So are we getting leadership who are good in Twitter? I don't know. I just can, you know, have some followers. I pick up a theme and everybody around me follows it. Is it the new leadership skills we are looking at, sir?
You know, the interesting part is that today's generation, especially you mentioned about the today's generation, they are so tech savvy. They are very good with the computers. They are very comfortable with the computers. That's the positive side. But the flip side is that they have become uncomfortable with people. They have actually become uncomfortable with people. That's one. And sadly, there are thousands of friends on the Facebook, not one real friend. Not one real friend. No wonder. Do you know what is happening? The age of depression all over the world has gone down. Age of the people who are getting depressed, they're feeling so lonely. Go check out, I just recently did a program for the NHS, that is National Health Service in UK. And I did some research. Do you know about 40% of doctors are under feeling depressed, and 17% were considering suicides. Today's generation, they're feeling so lonely because, you know, substance is missing. The reality is missing. Today, they are willing to pay more money for entertainment than education. I repeat, they're willing to pay more money for entertainment than education. And they are saying, do what feels good, do what feels good, do what feels good. You see, we learned one thing, that feeling good is a natural outcome of doing good. Doing good is a natural outcome of being good. You are good, you do good, you feel good. How can you feel good when you don't do good? How can you feel good when you don't do good? Now the question is there something called good and bad? Answer is yes. Now, I don't want to get into it, but someday if I address your students, I'll be happy to. There is something called good and bad. Unlike Shakespeare, who said, I disagree with Shakespeare. I repeat, I disagree with Shakespeare, who said, nothing is right or wrong, your thinking makes it so. Nothing is right or wrong, your thinking makes it so. Let me ask you, if that is all that is meant, everything is subjective. If everything is subjective, then every criminal in this world should be released. Who says they are wrong? You said they are wrong, they didn't think so, go keep arguing. If there are no rights and wrongs in this world, then Hitler was totally right. Who says he was wrong? You say he was wrong, he didn't think so, go keep arguing for the rest of your life. Sir, there are many gray areas, yet they're very clear areas. They're very clear areas. You know something, people who say clarifying values is difficult, it is not difficult. Are you aware that every doctor in the world, when they graduate, they have to take an oath of Hippocrates? Are you aware of that? Have you ever read that oath? It is less than 1 page. That oath is how old? 2000 years. And if you read that oath, do you need any more values than that one? Do you know every legislator, every cop, every policeman, every judge, when they take position before that, they have to take an oath. Do you know how long that oath is? 5 lines. If you read that oath, do you need any more values than that one? You know something? Clarifying values is not difficult. What is difficult is to face up to them after clarifying. We don't have the guts to face. That's the mess. So that is where you ask the people, whoever asks these questions, they will give you all the answers, what is right or wrong. Why go that far? Do you know in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna was telling this guy, Duryodhan, what is right or wrong, you know what Duryodhan said? He said, I know what is right. I know what's right, but I'm not attracted to what's right. And I know what is wrong, but somehow I'm attracted to do what is wrong. How do you answer that? He says, I know what is right and wrong, but I'm not attracted to do what's right, but I'm attracted to do what's wrong. They know all the answers, but they don't want to do it. You know something, the sad part is, most people want to achieve success. Most people want to succeed, but they're not willing to pay the price to prepare to succeed. I repeat, most people want success, but they're not willing to pay the price to prepare to succeed. Are you aware? आपको छोटे से 2 उदाहरण देता हूं. मैंने अपनी नई किताब में You Can Achieve More में लिखा है, who is the legend in martial art in this world? Who was the legend?
Bruce Lee.
Who was the legend in martial art?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was the legend in martial art. क्या आप जानते हैं कि Bruce Lee, one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch. His one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch. 1 mm, 2 mm में फर्क हो तो आदमी डिसलाइन हो जाता है साहब. And Bruce Lee's eyesight was -10. He could not see his opponent without lenses. But Bruce Lee could have said, मेरी किस्मत खराब है साहब. But Bruce Lee practiced 5,000 punches per day. And Bruce Lee said one thing, I'm not afraid of a person who knows 10,000 ways how to kick. I'm afraid of a person who knows only one way, but practice 10,000 times. That's the dangerous one. Now I want to ask you, Dr. Patrajoshi, was Bruce Lee an exception, sir? Or was he not? Was he an exception or not?
Yes.
Was he an exception or not? Say it loudly.
Yes.
Incorrect answer.
It's okay.
Sir, Bruce Lee was not an exception. Go check out anybody who's done anything in this world. They all have overcome adversity. I will share with you, you heard of the name Michael Phelps. Now, he became a legend, but are you also aware that 2 years prior to the Olympics, he fractured his hand? ये आपने सुना नहीं, ये सुना जरूर कि legend बन गया, लेकिन 2 साल पहले he fractured his hand. And the doctor said, you cannot get in the water anymore. And he said, even if your hand does get repaired, question is, will it have the same strength? You are competing at the Olympics. Michael Phelps was practicing for this event for 10 years. He said, I will get into the water. I won't use my hands, I will use my legs. He continued using his legs. And 2 years later, He won 8 gold medals, created history at Beijing. One of the event was a 100 meters butterfly stroke. And guess what was the distance between him and the person who came second? 1/100th of a second. And it is attributed that when he had fractured his hand and he was practicing with his legs became so strong that last point, that's what gave him the push. But at that time, there was a press there. And when he won 8 gold medals, the press said, must be your lucky day. Must be your lucky day. When Michael Phelps heard that, he didn't like it. He said, you come here, I'll tell you how lucky I got. He said, in the last 4 years, I practiced 10,000 hours. And if you're good at maths, it translates into 2,500 hours per year. And if you're good at calculus, it translates into 8 hours per day, no Sunday. And he said, you go sit in the water for 8 hours every day for the next 4 years, your body will shrivel. And he asked, did I get lucky? Did I get lucky? He said, athletes train 15 years for 15 seconds of performance. Go ask them, did they get lucky? Was Michael Phelps an exception? Answer is no. Steve Jobs, you want to hear that? I just can go on and on and on and on. Whenever we hear life histories of people like Steve Jobs, do you know his first sentence at the convocation at Stanford was, nobody, I came to this world unwanted. The day he was born, he was put up for adoption. What a joke. Interesting. Was he an exception? No. See, whenever you hear stories, real life stories of Bruce Lee, Michael Phelps, or Steve Jobs, you know, it forces us to redefine the word success. They all had problems. Success is not absence of problems, it is overcoming problems. And success is not measured by how high you go up in life, but how many times you bounce back when you fall down. That is success. Look, if you and I...
And that is why our new education policy is also looking into that. Globalization, the localization, the clarity about the presenting the concepts which you are having with you and the way you reach to the people, that is very, very useful to all of us, especially who are in the field of industry or the business or maybe our young minds, because they all want to move ahead. Problem focused or solution focused. Very, very clear about your approach. Still people they think about, they raise the problems. Coming for possible solutions, if you start looking into it, then most of the things, they can easily be resolved. Breaking records or break yourself. You have said so many things, so many phrases, and every phrase, it carries a great meaning to all of us. Whether we have to build relationships or we have to build the contacts, clarity about that issue. We have to read books, good books. We normally used to read good books once, maybe twice. But once you said clearly that we have to read books more than once, twice, thrice. The more you read, more you get better insights. We were doing it, but we never emphasized on those things which are very, very clear to all of us. Because when we go for the first reading, we can get only the basics. And sometimes we miss important points. The ideas, they will come to us only when we start reading the book again and again. You talked about good books, because we read books without knowing whether it is good or bad, but still we read it. So that is very, very important. And again, the same question which Professor Das has raised in the beginning itself. All our motivational theories, they are losing their significance. Maybe when they have been developed, At that point of time, this sort of scenario was not there. And now the social, economic, political, and even the technology, so many changes they have come up. Now how to go for it? And for that, we have said only one word, small word. Motivation is not a single step. You have to add. Always you have to add something. Addition, some fuel is to be given, then the people, they will work. Only one time motivation will not work. Motivation and inspiration. Once you say that you're motivating a person, it shows there is a purpose. But once we inspire others to come forward, that carries more weight. And here our old sculptures also, and even your insights also, even your book, Jeet Aapki, it has been read by so many people. Selling a book is okay, but the same book, it has been read by so many people. And getting lots of insights from that. Only yesterday I had a meeting with my old students. I'm also representing a management institute, and I am in the field of management for the last 40 years. So my students, they were very nostalgic about you. They wanted to listen to you. They wanted to understand you. And they said that they have read your book 20 times. 20 times. I could not read it. So, and the way which you explain the things, that explain the basics, because every phrase which you used, I wanted to note it down, but I could not do it. But the phrases which you used, and every phrase, it carries a weight. Faith, blind faith, trust, relationship, self-employment, localization. And most of the things, they are relevant to us. We all are the leaders right now, academic leaders, business leaders. But are we performing appropriately? Is our performance is getting good results? That for that also you have given us the light. Because leadership, if it is not inspirational, it will not give us any sort of results. The leadership, it should be inspirational. There are leaders, good leaders. They inspire others also. And the entire team, it gives you excellent results. But that has become a rare commodity. As you have already emphasized regarding the people who are in the field of sports or who are in the field of even in the field of the other areas. So excellence, yes, it can be brought, but for that you said prepare, not to repair. So we have to prepare ourselves. Even if we are being thrust upon the responsibility to become the leader, we have to prepare ourselves to become a good leader also. That is also a great lesson to all of us. I'm really grateful to you for being present over here and enlighten all of us. Definitely, we would like to take your valuable time whenever you feel free about it. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving your words of wisdom to all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Today's invited guest, esteemed Mr. Shiv Khera, moderator of the session, Dr. Amrit Padjoshi, our respected Pro-Vice Chancellors, all the participants, and my dear colleagues. It gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the entire IGNOU family. I, on behalf of IGNOU fraternity, extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Khera for his gracious presence and thoughtful talk. It means a lot for all of us, and it's going to remain in our mind for many, many days to go. And it will be considered as a golden virtual talk given by you, sir. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Amrit for agreeing to moderate and asking very critical questions to Shiv Khera, which was, I think, taken from the chat section. Also, a special thanks to all the Pro Vice Chancellor for sparing their valuable time and gracing the occasion. I'd also like to express my profound gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for his encouragement, motivation, and support all the time. He's truly an inspirational leader for all of us. Also, I would like to thank our technical support, Dr. Nisa Singh. She has coordinated all the technical assistance. And last but not least, a big thank you to all the participants and attendees who have turned up in such a great number. They have logged into Zoom, they are watching it in Facebook Live, they are watching in Gyandarshan, they are watching in our YouTube channel, and also listening in the Gyanvani FM radio. So with this, I bring this the event to a conclusion. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Nayantara. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being with us.